Welcome to the Paint, Rest, Repeat podcast with Ros Gervais and
Laura Day, where we chat about our creative lives as artists while keeping it real and a little bit messy.
We're here to inspire creatives just like you to push past those boundaries and make art that you love. Let's dive in. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Paint, Rest, Repeat. This week, we have the fabulous Wayde Clarke with us, and we're going to be talking all about, art and fairs and original art and commissions and all the amazing things that you do, Wayde. So how are you?
I'm fabulous. Thank you for asking. How are you?
I'm well. I'm, a little bit loopy as always. And the fabulous Laura is here, of course.
So good to have you. I'm excited to jump into this convo with you, Wayde.
I'm very excited to be here.
Now, Wayde, I'm just going to go straight up and say you have two names. Can you tell us?
Yes, I do have two names.
Tell us about this.
So Wayde is obviously I like to say my legal name. And I do go by Wayde. Like all my friends know me by Wayde. Strangers know me by Wayde. But also strangers also know me by Alejandro Lauren, which is my artist name. How I came up with Alejandro Lauren and that Alejandro is my alter ego. So when I was a lot younger, I created this persona inside me too, that had all the same virtues and beliefs as I did, but were a lot more confident and outgoing. And when I wanted to be push myself out of my comfort zone, I'm like, great, let's step into Alejandro's shoes and go and do what Wayde wouldn't do, to say the least. My drama teacher taught me that skill, which I'm very grateful for. But Alejandro came about with when I was younger and going out, everyone used to think I was Spanish, and I'll be like, no, actually I'm Indigenous. And they're like, you can't be, you don't look Indigenous, you look Spanish, you have to be Spanish. And it was more of a play on words to be like, you know what, you're trying to take my identity away, so let's just play with that and just call myself Alejandro when I'm out and about around strangers. And if I didn't want no one to have a bar of me, I'd be like, oh, not really know who I am. I'm like, yeah, my name's Alejandro. And then it all came from there. I tacked Lauren on because I always find to be a powerful presence, you need to have both masculinity and femininity qualities within one another and mix those together, and just to make everyone feel safe around you and nurturing. So Lauren's the nurturing side and the passionate side and the very caring side, where Alejandro is the confident, fun, cheeky side. So mix those both together, and that's where my brand comes from.
I love that. That's so super cool, and also really a really creative way of sort of empowering yourself to be who you want to be, rather than trapped in, who you are at that original point.
Exactly. And I'm always worried about what people thought of me growing up. I grew up in a small town out of Dubbo, and Dubbo is quite a conservative town. So I was like, oh gosh, it'll be always really hard for me to be myself or be confident. But at the age of 16, I decided to come out and as gay, and I've just always been authentically myself then, because I was in a really dark spot. And I was like, for me to never be in that dark space again, I always have to be myself. I can't hide myself. So I was very grateful for those learning opportunities that my drama teacher taught me at a very young age. And I've I always believe, as part of my brand, is be authentically you, no matter what, because that's how you find the people who are meant to be around you, not who you're meant to be around, if that makes sense.
I think that's amazing. I think it's similar to the concept of your higher self, or when you go into that personal development world, you hear that come up, your higher self stepping into the next version of you. And isn't it a gift that your drama teacher just sort of imparted that piece of wisdom with you, and then you were able to grow into that and express yourself the way that you wanted to be fully expressed and like feel
100%.
comfortable in your skin. And it's like, yeah, just throwing away like all of the sort of projections or things of like
What
the
society,
past and
yeah,
just, you know, being really, yeah, you authentically.
100,
Amazing.
100%, yeah. Just like I just don't want to fit into the realms of what society thinks I should be.
Yeah.
I love that. Love that so much. We are completely here for that, way. Thank you for sharing.
No problem.
You know, as you were telling us all about the your alter ego and a bit of your background and this sort of step into who you really are, it made me think about specifically what I sort of experienced on your website actually. So I was on your website earlier and I was looking at your homepage. And I know your art already, but I was reading through some of the copy, you know, some of the words on your homepage and about this mission that you're on through your art. And honestly, it just gave me goosebumps because you're not just an artist, if that makes sense. You know, you're here to make an impact. And you're, you know, when someone buys an artwork of yours, they're not just buying something beautiful for their wall, they're buying something else. They're buying into a mission and a purpose and a whole set of values and, you know, someone who's wanting to make change in this world. So yeah, just well done on
Oh, thank
everything.
you. That means so much.
Like,
Like just means a lot because I feel like the world can be quite a crappy place. Like especially when there's like when people live with hate and fear in their heart. Like I'm just like I don't understand it. Like educate like more than just believe.
yeah.
But like that's what my whole thing's about. It's not only about like loving yourself, it's also about like learning to love other people, learning about like your challenges, accepting your challenges, accepting the obstacles that have been in your life, and like growing from them and not letting them make you a victim in the terms of a sense. Like I know, and it's okay to be a victim. I'm not saying it's not okay to not be a victim, but when we do, like when we go through things, it's a learning curve and we have to learn and acknowledge what we've been through and sit with that and we grow from that once we do. So
Yeah. That's amazing. If you don't mind, I did copy some of your text, and I guess like me and Roz, like reading your website as coaches as well, like we're like,
Yeah.
okay, this gives like perfect context to your art, and it gives like much deeper meaning. And it's just amazing. Like I feel like you eloquently really described your art, but in the written word, which is amazing. So you say, my art is deeply tied to the human experience and emotion. I believe that the one thing that connects us all is how we navigate life's challenges. I want my work to help people connect, relate, and even heal, just as it's done for me. And I feel like that's just so powerful. And
thank
this
you.
it's only a short little excerpt
Yeah.
from your work, but yeah, it's just that like anchoring into art's way to like help to like heal and transform people. Yeah, it's just so powerful. And
Thank you
yeah.
so much. And I think that's where like my success comes from is because I'm doing it from a place of love. I always buy a lotto ticket in the chances that I might win, like at life. But I really feel I was put on my chance. I was put on earth to like win something from making other people happy, you know, and like I'm quite a successful artist in the way, which is like things are selling, I'm getting commissions, things people are making an impact where people do want my work, and I feel that's me winning the lotto. Like I'm like making this impact on the world and people want something to do with it and want something of mine. And I'm like, that's me winning the lotto in the terms of things. So I'm very, very happy and very grateful for where I'm at this stage in my art career.
So good. We love seeing your, you know, posts pop up on socials and cheering you
Oh,
on as
thank
well. So
you.
keep it coming.
Much.
Yeah.
Now a little bit of a backtrack as well, just to talk perhaps a bit about your art. So what sort of art do you make? Da, da, da. And then also your location, because I think we all got a bit excited about
Yep.
the meaning
Yeah.
piece.
So,
We'll just go back
yeah,
to the
so
basics.
location, I'm based on
Mm.
Awabakal Land in Newcastle, New South Wales. I love to say I love really like Macquarie, so part of the Wabakal people as well. Um, I've been living in this area of the world now for the last 17 years. Before that was Dubbo for the first 17 years of my life. So I can proudly say now I've been in Lake Macquarie and Newcastle area for half of my life. So next steps though, I really want to move to Victoria. Like I want to move to Melbourne or like the Mornington Peninsula area. I love being by the water, so hopefully I can go to the peninsula. So we'll see where it goes. But gosh, where am I now? What was the other question? Sorry.
Oh, you've got a brain like me, Wayde. The other the other question was, what sort of art do you make? Because
other art I do. So
yeah,
I'll
just
probably
for our
say,
listeners.
yeah. So with the art that I currently am creating and that I love to create, like it would be my Indigenous works. These come from I never really plan them out or free draw them beforehand. I just let it come in an expressionist way. I put myself into a moment, a mood, or a feeling or an emotion of something that I've been through or something that my friends have been through or something that I've seen someone go through. I'm like, what would that feel like to me? What would my feelings be? And I just let that all out onto the canvas or onto paper or onto my iPad. But then I just play with other things like animals, and then I do like a lot of my figures of like people, like, and they're very like erotic because I feel like the human body should be celebrated and not sexualized. So I like to call them erotic because that's what people call them, but they're mostly nude or doing suggestion poses that we've all been through. One second, this is going to be going on. Can you hear this in the background?
No.
Okay, cool. So I'll start. But
Good.
so yeah, so they're usually like people, but I would say take a look at my website because there's a huge array of very queer, positive art on there, very feminine, positive art on there, and then very heavily black, excellent art on there as well. So
Oh, I'm scrolling through your website right now. Everyone definitely go have a look. So it's alejandrolauren.com. Is that right?
yes.
Yeah. Super cool. Can I ask a question about your Aboriginal work?
Yes, please.
Do you follow, I'm just going to ask all the silly questions. Is that all right?
Yeah, go for it.
Do you follow the set traditional symbolism? Because you know how
So
we
the
learn.
symbolism that I use is the most symbols that are renowned throughout our nations, which are like the people symbols, which is the U shape, meeting places, and then the song lines and journey lines.
Okay, so you do incorporate the
Yeah.
traditional bits and pieces, but then do you make it your own as well? Like how does that work?
So necessarily it's just storytelling in the way we use symbolism. So for example, once we learn symbolism, like for like the kangaroo prints and stuff, that would demonstrate if we saw those in caves that kangaroos are nearby and whatnot. Or like if there is like a map of a thing and then there's like those huge circles within each other and there's lines connecting those circles. Those are usually like walking maps or traveling lines. And when there's like usually like symbolisms around those places, that's a significant spot where like kangaroos could be or emus would be. I'm not necessarily painting about kangaroos and emus because I want to tell a story about like what we've been through.
Yeah, yeah.
So I usually do a lot of like journey lines and traveling lines because I feel that our life is to grow and move forward and like create our own journey and our own path.
Yeah.
And people around it are like the ones that champion us or the people are a part of our community that we care and respect for. So I feel that's like really important for me to always have those in there because like without the people in our lives, I feel we wouldn't really be able to be who we are either because they've made us who we are.
Yeah,
Even the ones
amazing.
that no longer in our lives anymore as well, like the ones who have like had to like, you know what, pick the weeds, keep the flowers. Somehow the weeds have played a part in our life as well to make us who we are. So
Oh, wait.
we always have to acknowledge them as well. So very thankful for people who are no longer in my life, but because they've
Yeah.
taught me not to put up with that kind of stuff anymore.
Yeah. They can be sometimes our greatest teachers.
Definitely.
Wayde, I'm just wondering, did you have a art mentor or someone that like sort of passed down
Is there like my dad always used to there was like this community program in Dubbo where like Indigenous people would gather and work and stuff together. They all worked under the umbrella and did stuff with the community. There was always big painting workshops there, and I remember being young and I was really taken by like the way they did their artwork. So I always sat with them and learned how to do art. And my dad always used to like kind of paint and do like these like, and like, his friends did like water people art because that's where we were from. Like one of my people's are Birpai people, and they're all water based people. So like the shark is our totem, and so we'll go from there. But like I grew up on Wiradjuri land, so all around Wiradjuri elders and aunties. So they necessarily taught me a fair bit by being there. But I feel like growing up, then what I taught from them, I mixed my like contemporary learnings of like doing art throughout school and stuff, and just like melded them together to create this beautiful journey. And I find with like a lot of younger artists now who are Indigenous are blending these styles together because it is our heritage, it is our nation. Some people might have a problem with it, some people don't. But I necessarily see the pros and cons in both sides. But it's my storytelling, like my ancestors told the way they told their stories, and I love that they did that. But I think, and I do respect my elders. And if my elders were to come to me and say, like, look, what you're doing is wrong, I would change it. But I haven't had that yet. So, but like, it's always there to have that respect. But I want to tell my stories, and it's coming from a place of love and stuff. So I felt like that's why I've been approached that I'm doing something wrong. So.
Yeah, fantastic. I love it. It's just really, I think it's just really inspirational what you're doing, because I mean, even through your art, you know, you are standing up for who you are, you know, and you're finding a way to merge, you know, your origins and your backstory with who you are today and who you want to become as well, because life is long, hopefully, right? That's the
Exactly.
deal.
It's long and it's hard sometimes, and that's where like art comes to for me, is just to make it a bit easier. So
Yeah, gorgeous. I did see on your website that you are studying art therapy. Unless that copy's
yeah,
old, you might have already finished that.
I've actually finished now, which is
Yay!
great. So
Congratulations.
yeah, that's probably going to be something I'm going to really focus in on, because like I never I never did art therapy, but I always knew art was a way for me to disconnect from a space in this world where I could literally just go be by myself, get out what I'm feeling. And I was never vulnerable in a sense of sharing and communicating how I'm feeling. That was my communication, to let things out for myself. And once they were out, my husband or my friends were like, "Oh, what's this artwork about?" I found myself easily talking about it. So I'm like, there has to be something to this. Like there has to be something that can help people in the way of they might not realize that art therapy was. And I did some research and saw that art therapy was a thing. And I went and did a course on it for a good 18 months, and I'm now qualified. So I'm a qualified art therapist practitioner. So my new year will be helping people to create and heal in a way that they can find comforting, because I feel like art can takes us back to when we're kids and we get that safety and security and get lost in thought, because it's hard to be vulnerable and speak about things, but once we get them out in a form that is physical, there's an easy chance that we're going to be able to then communicate it. So
Yeah. It shifts and moves energy too. And like if you're holding that safe space for people, it allows them to open up in ways that they might not otherwise. Yeah,
exactly.
amazing. So I think you also said on your website in 2018 you turned your art into a career. So you sell original artwork, you do commissions, prints, accessories, mugs, hats, bags, iPhone cases, coloring pages. Like you've got a vast array of like really interesting things
Yeah.
going on your website. It's like a splash of color and like, yeah, it's
Feel
amazing.
like so I'm like, I don't want to like oversaturate everything, but like some people just don't have the space to hang your art on their walls. So just like I was like, how can those customers might want something on mine, but they might have nowhere to put it. Or if someone's renting, I'm like, great, I can put it on a coffee mug, I can put it on a tea towel, I can put it on like a computer case, like, or a phone case, like wine. Opportunities are endless. As soon as that art becomes a digital form, you can put that on anything you want. And like let your customers or let your fans like go wild with it. Like give them choice, give them option. I always say if you're going to be someone who's selling artwork or selling something, you have to hand everything on a silver platter to your customers because they don't want to do the work into purchasing from you. You've got to give them what they want. So, and people ask like, again, are these going to be on phone cases? Are these going to be on mugs? I've listened to my customers and I've literally been great. Yep, let's do it. Let's put it on everything then.
I
Because
reckon yes is the answer. Just yes
yeah,
across the board.
Yes.
yeah, and they love it. So and they work well. So as long as it's got a functionality, as long as it serves a purpose, and as long as it means something to them, I'm happy. So
Yeah. I love that. I just wrote down as you were talking as well. It's sort of almost like that difference between the high-end fine artist, nothing is wrong with that, but the high-end fine artist versus this sort of art for the people sort of mentality. And I like that. I connect a little bit more with that as well, Wayde. You know, art for the people because it's about for you and your business, it's about the impact.
yeah.
And it's about the mission and the values and all of that. So the more you can get your art into
And
other
I love
people's hands.
those artists that just like who just want to make paintings or do sculptures and stuff and want to stick by that. That's fine. That's great. That works for you.
Yeah.
I don't have an opinion on it. Like if it works for
No,
me,
but it's just your choice to operate this way. And I like that
I love
idea.
that. I just think when other people try to like push their agenda onto others, I'm just like it's not your life. Like live your life the way you want to live it. I'll live my life the way I want
The
to live
classic "you do you boo," that one. Where does that even come from? The boo bit.
I don't know.
Hashtag you do you boo.
Yeah, that's it. That was so overused. That was the 2023 thing, wasn't it? I don't know. It's true though. Like I do, like I like it, but it's just oversaid, you know.
Yeah, and so there was also you did a collaboration with Cotton On.
Yeah, so Pride, I did a huge like mural painting at the front of the store on their window, just like to celebrate Mardi Gras and Love is Love in their Bondi Junction store. And then we had some decals put up through another stores throughout Sydney as well. So that was really, really, really fun. Like I just have the opportunity to work with them and like them like really take pride in being a part of the LGBT community and saying like, hey, we see you, we care for you and stuff, which is great. And the fact that they pay good money too. Like, there's some artists, like there's some big companies like that, or like who I know wouldn't even offer that amount. They'll lowball you and be like, oh, this is all we can do. And I'm like,
Yeah,
no.
I find that super
For
offensive.
a multi-million-dollar campaign, like
Mm-hmm.
you run multi-million-dollar campaigns, I can see that you're running campaigns every day of the week. You can afford to pay for this. So
Yeah. So did they approach you or was
yeah,
it like
they
something you
approached
pitched?
me. So which is
Cool.
great. I personally haven't really pitched any artworks to people. Like I haven't done down that route yet. I'm just like I'm too busy as it is. I can't write up like a 10-page pitch of why I should be the artist of your dreams. But yeah, they approached me, like they've seen your stuff, and I think like I'm quite prominent in like the queer art world at the moment, which is nice. I've like seeing the movement. I always get quite surprised by it when people say, "Oh my God, I've been following you for ages," or it really takes me back. Like it really sets me back. I'm like, oh, like this old thing, like little old me. Like no, like I always get them like people were like, no, like my husband's like, you are becoming quite a figure now in the public. So like how do you feel? I'm like, oh, I don't feel any different. Like I just want to be myself. I just want to have fun and I want people to join in on the fun. So
Yeah, just your
I don't,
regular
I
self.
don't see myself as anything less or anything more. I'm just still Wayde Alejandro, you know,
Take your
little,
pick.
little old country boy from Dubbo, you know, who's still a little bit shy and reserved at times, but that's about it. So
Oh, so fantastic. What else did we want to chat about as well, Laura? Like I've got a whole mind map in front of me.
Yeah, I think did we talk about the what you've got coming up, Wade?
Yes, so we've
Um,
got I'll be doing all the big markets like Finders Keepers. I've got the Other Art Fair in Melbourne, 30th of Jan to the 4th or something of Feb, I believe. And then the Melbourne Makers and Shakers, which is in May. That's all locked in. But
did
I
you
still
say that
have
was the big design market?
design.
Makers and Shakers?
Oh, sorry, not Makers and Shakers, not
No.
them.
No.
The big design market, which is in the
Mm,
Royal Exhibition building in
the
Melbourne.
exhibition, yeah, in Melbourne.
That's in May sometime.
Okay,
So in the middle
beautiful.
of the year. So
Yeah.
that takes a lot of work to like get all your things like shipped and
Yep, fly
yeah.
down. So I always recommend freighting if you're going to do interstate. I can't drive to Melbourne anymore from Newcastle. It takes
But you did a few times, right?
like once or twice, and I'm like,
Yeah.
there's 10 hours each way, like 10.5 hours each way that I'm not going to get back, where I
Yeah.
can, where if I'm not driving, I can like still work at the airport and like get things done because being self-employed artist, I'm always hustling, like I'm always working, always responding to emails. So then that's what you got to do what you got to do, right? So, and if I'm not driving for 10 hours, that means that's time I've got to do other things. So, because time
Yeah.
is really important. Time is
Hmm.
really important, and that's something you need to learn quickly if you're going to become an artist, and
Yeah.
especially employed. So,
Yeah, it's definitely finite, right? So you've got to make some decisions about how you use that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. So you're freighting for you ship everything for your big fairs. And so where are your fairs generally? Like do you do them across Australia or
so far, all I've done is like Sydney. I've done a few local ones here in Newcastle, but mostly Sydney,
yeah.
Canberra, and Melbourne.
Okay, all right. So sort of east.
Yeah, I would love to hit like South Australia around that area, possibly even Tasmania.
Yeah.
Um, I don't really like to go too far up north, just judging on how conservative they are.
Mm,
But I just don't think
Yeah.
I align with a state like that. So,
yeah,
so
yeah.
like, I would love to. I love going there for holidays, but I don't think I'll take my work there. And I do, and I'm always saying like risks does pay off, but I think it'd be too much of a risk for me.
Yeah,
So,
and
And
you've already found, your level of success. So I think
and just
you
judging
probably
on
need to take less risks now.
yeah, just judging where all my online base comes from,
Mm,
that's where I tend to go. So,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
like
Go where your market is.
Victoria and
Mm.
Canberra, like ACT, always going to be there because they beat New South Wales in terms of sales for me. So I'm always like shipping to Canberra and to ACT and Victoria, always above
And do
board.
you do your own shipping then, Wade? Like
I
packaging and
do.
shipping?
I do. Except for like my mugs and stuff, I get my provider to do those. Like anything
Hmm.
that's like printed on object, my provider looks after.
Hmm.
Send them the orders and they just get them done for me. But anything like regarding prints or paintings, I print all my own stuff, get it all printed, sign it, write a little note, thank you, like because I think that's always really important. They've taken their time out of their day to search my website site, find something that they love, and enough go to the options of purchasing, putting their cart and purchasing it. I always like to write a little thank you note to say thank you for that. And then send that all off to myself to them and then
That would
hopefully it
be
all goes hunky dory. So
that would be pretty hectic though, Wade. Like how do you organize your week? Sorry, Laura, I'm going into my minute details.
No,
Like,
no,
do
this
you
is
have
so
like your
interesting.
packaging, yeah, like
yeah,
packaging and shipping days, or how
yeah,
do you structure that?
so I do everything. So I use Shopify for my website. So um, I just use the shipping option through there, so that usually just comes and gets picked up. So if I only have a few orders in the day, just go get them printed, packaged, and then just like put them at the door so that they're ready for pickup tomorrow. Um,
So it's a daily thing.
So sometimes daily if there's only a few orders, but if there's like over the weekend, I was lucky enough to get like 50 orders over the weekend, like while I was at the market. I was like, holy dooly, I've got to be busy next week. So the last 2 days I've just like been like printing and packing and stuff. So that's
Oh,
taken majority of the day.
you
Okay,
are
Wayde, I need to know, do you have a weekend? You switch off?
I switch off mostly on Mondays and Tuesdays, but like
Okay.
it was just like I'm gonna get like it was just a printing day, so it was fine. I was just had like the TV on in the studio and I was just printing, writing little notes while watching TV. So it doesn't feel like work to me. Like my husband's like, "Hey, have a break." And I'm like, it's not work. Like I'm just painting and
It is
drawing.
hard. I know what you mean in art business because you love
It's
it.
hard to switch off because I love doing what I do, like, but like there is times though when it like hits 5 o'clock, because my husband finishes at 4:30, but if it hits 4:30, 5 o'clock, tools are down. I want to spend time with my husband. I want to be able to like have conversations with him and have that attention with him and be present with him, because I think it's really important to be present when you're spending time with someone and not be drifting off or trying to think about or do other things while spending time with them. So
Yeah, lovely. That's so nice. And so you also mentioned that you'd like to start your own podcast one day too.
I do. I would love to start my own podcast. I've already thought of the name and everything behind it. And it does tie back to my art. So I want to call it like Snap Reality and Pop. So like snaps, like give snaps to people like of like who are doing good in the world and like rewarding like good behaviors for ourselves and like and whatnot. Um, or snaps to the people that are on the show. But the reality is like talking about reality, like what is going on in our lives, what is challenging, what is like, and then like also then talking about like really juicy stuff in that, like of like what
Yeah.
has happened like in that aspect.
Yeah.
Because like I said, what we go through in life, we all eventually are going to go through or could go through or might have a friend go through. Um, and with that, I wouldn't be able to help people be like, you know what, I'm not alone. I've been there, or I'm actually going through this right now. And that those people who have gone through it might even have some really good suggestions that could help those people. So that's where that comes from. And then pop will just be then just bringing in pop culture, like because you can easily type pop culture into like things that we go through as well. And then time back and forth. And I want it to be like really fun, but like also compelling. So
Yeah. And again, it's about the service piece,
yeah,
and
yeah,
helping others on their pathways. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
yeah.
Because
It's
sometimes you don't know like what's going on underneath the
that's it.
surface.
You
And
get
like opening up that space for people to be vulnerable and ties into your art therapy
that.
too, like that
I'm
safe
literally
space.
talking to like young Wade, like learn to be vulnerable. Like it will help you out in your everyday life a lot more once you learn it. Because it's so hard. It is very hard. It's very confronting. And I think once we learn to just be like, vulnerable, at least with just like one person and not just pretend like everything's fine, everything's hunky dory, when like you can feel the whole world burning behind you. It's just like, and that's like, that's your world, that's your domain that's burning behind you. The people in front of you don't know that that's on fire. So you need to let people know because
Yeah.
things
Oh,
have happened to people before where they've hurt themselves or they've like done something to themselves, and it just makes a huger impact on people around them, and then that person, other people's worlds are on fire. So
Yeah. Yeah.
all right. Well, watch this space, everybody. New podcast hitting the airwaves.
Yeah, hit us up if you need some like tech tips or anything
yeah,
or motivation to get it out there to the
oh,
world, because it sounds like it's going to be amazing and a beautiful
thank
gift.
you.
So, yeah.
All right. I had one other question, a very specific question.
Go for it.
Is that all right, Wade?
Let's do it.
It's like a little segue topic. Anyway, no, it's we before we recorded this episode, Laura and I were sort of thinking about what might our audience maybe want to ask specifically about. So I'm just going to ask you a question about Aboriginal artwork, if that's okay.
Yeah,
It's okay. So, and about the whole, mark making sort of side of things, because it's very popular, the whole abstract artwork with pattern work in it and all of that. I just wanted to ask, do you know anything about like where that line is in the sand? Like where, if people are creating artworks with dots or, you know, those beautiful, is it called the bush medicine brush strokes?
Yeah.
Where is the line as to whether non-Aboriginal people can use those marks? Like I just thought you might be able to share with our audience some really
Like, so
good help.
I can probably actually tie this to a conversation I had on the weekend with one of my friends, actually. So I think the line is when, if you're like particularly like using it as inspiration, or like if you want to do Aboriginal artwork, if you got it in mind of like this, I'm doing this in Aboriginal artwork, it's inspired by like these elders or Aboriginal artworks, I think that's when it becomes wrong, because you're literally as a non-Indigenous person taking form of that artwork and shaping it into your own. But I feel when like there is no content there of like thoughts of feelings of taking inspiration from Indigenous artworks, but it ends up looking like that or is replicated as such, I don't see anything wrong with that. Some people might be like, oh, you should have done your like education or due diligence and such, but I don't think you should research art in a way. Like I think art is such a very natural form of feeling, especially with abstract art. Like it's abstract is more expression, feeling, and thoughts coming out in the moment. I've never ever seen someone plan an abstract piece of artwork really in the forms of like, this is how it's going to look. It's never going to look how you see it in your mind. It comes out as a form of feeling. But the line is drawn is going to be drawn like if you're doing it and be like, is this going to be offensive? You've already going to have those preconceived notions in your head already that what I'm doing might be wrong. And maybe that's where like the line can be drawn, but it's really, it's up to perception, I feel.
It's
Like,
so tricky, isn't it? So, you know,
like, especially like some elders might be like, no, that I don't see anything wrong with it because they didn't really take it from original artwork. But the idea is of like, say, for example, if someone's like went to the Northern Territory, got all this inspiration and went home and started painting like that because they were inspired and then try to sell that work. I think that's where you have to draw the line, because that's wrong.
what happens if, I'm just, what's it called, being devil's advocate, what happens if you created an artwork which was inspired by a pre-existing Aboriginal artwork, and you create it for private purposes only, for hanging in your own home, not sold, not to be shared anywhere else? I know somebody who's done that. Is that not okay?
Oh,
Still taking.
that's so like,
Yeah.
but like you're not profiteering from it. I feel like if you did it as a learning education, like if you did it as a learning practice, times where I do workshops and I go around and we paint on tote bags, right? So I teach Indigenous symbolism because I want people to know what symbolism means within my nation. And then I encourage people on that tote bag, now I want you to tell a story like with what you learnt today. Like make up your own story, paint your own thing. That's like actual education. That's them learning, and then they can then go share that with other people. I think that's fine because they've been instructed. It's come from an instruction educational base. I think as long as it's come from an educational base, like if you're watching like an auntie do it or talking about things and you did it as a show and you hung it up in your own home, that's fine. But I think if you went and just did it yourself, that you're not going to really know anything about the symbols. Like you haven't really learnt anything. So does it really suit a purpose? Or that's my only question. I would love to know like what they think of that, because they've only taught themselves. They haven't been taught from a community or an Aboriginal's perspective or an Indigenous person's perspective.
Really
That's
good.
my only thoughts and feelings about that. But I'm not saying they're wrong or they've done something wrong. I'm like, what's the connection? Is there a connection there?
Well, thank you for sharing your thoughts on that. I find it really intriguing. I just sort of steer clear of all of that just because I don't want to do the wrong thing.
But like I said, it can tie back to a conversation I had on the weekend where the person we were talking about, like how companies now changing their names, like from Chico and Redskins to like Red Slappers and stuff. And my friend's like, when do you draw the line? Like, when do we stop doing that? Because there was no foresight for them to think that that'll be offensive.
Mhm.
I'm like, I think they might have thought it would be offensive, like because of like, but I think the thing said back then, my friend's like, oh, but it was so long ago, and I'm like, yeah, but so long ago, white people with big businesses didn't care. They didn't care. They were just about making money. And the
Yeah.
thing now we do care.
Mhm.
And that's where, and she's like, well, where do we draw a line? I'm like, maybe when we stop offending people. Like, like,
Yeah.
and she's like, but there's no foresight. I'm like, but to have a business, you need to have foresight. You need to think. And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, they've got a whole new customer base because they've been in the media again. They've changed it. They're like, hey, look, we're fixing our ways. But yeah, but where the line is like maybe if you're thinking that you're offending someone, maybe
Yeah.
there's a conscious
Mhm.
decision there.
I like that. So it's like listening to your gut, really, you know?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always listen to your gut. Pushing for a reason. We have it for a reason. Like that's
Mm.
why there's a chemical in our body that goes off.
Yeah. Okay, so it comes down to like the intent behind it and then just general like respect and
Yeah,
like, yeah. Mm,
exactly.
mm.
Amazing.
Cool.
Well, I reckon that might be a wrap today. Is there anything else you want to drop in there, Wade? What's your star sign?
Oh gosh. Ooh. Um, I'm born on a cusp actually. So 23rd of September. So it makes me a Virgo Libra.
Ooh, what does that
Mhm.
mean? I don't think I know many Virgo Libras. Hang on,
So
what are you, Laura?
I'm a Gemini.
Oh,
Gemini.
Mm.
Love Gemini. Gemini and Libras get along like a house on fire because
Yeah.
we're like we weigh out the goods of
Yeah.
the people inside them. We're like,
Yeah, yeah. You see things from different perspectives.
yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
That's me always, devil's advocate. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I can see why. I can get both sides of the story. Like, they're like, just stop being so diplomatic.
What about you, Roz? We've talked about everyone else's
oh,
star
I'm
sign.
a Pisces.
Oh, Pisces.
Mm.
Yes. A lot of my really good friends are Pisces.
Just sort of go with the flow. Is that apparent? Somebody said
Mm.
that's not a Pisces going.
I think it's like a Pisces movement to go with the flow, but on the inside, you're probably raging out.
I have no rage-like emotions ever, Wade. I'm saying that tongue in cheek.
That's all my Pisces friends are like, oh, God, right now. And I'm like, keep it calm. I'm like,
I feel seen, Wade. I've been discovered. Oh, all right. Well,
Flow.
thank you so much for joining us today, Wade. Where can everyone find out more about you?
So definitely on my website at alejandrolauren.com but like mostly I'm on Instagram at Alejandro_Lauren_. Though I am occasionally on TikTok. I do want to pick up my TikTok game, and that's just again Alejandro Lauren. So
Let's call that in. So we're talking TikTok today. We're talking podcast.
yeah,
Yep. All right. Love it.
just need to get better at like my content creations. Like I've got a
Be
lot
the
of
content, Wade.
Well, I've got a lot of friends who are really, really good at content and who spend a lot of time making content. I'm like, how do you have time to do this and make beautiful artworks, make beautiful paintings and ceramics, and you're doing all this filming? I just forget because I'm someone who really likes to just be in the moment and I don't have to be on my phone a lot.
Yeah, it's
I
hard.
have to hire someone to literally just film me like, because I
Couple of
forget.
tripods in your creative space,
Yeah,
like permanently in place.
family in place. Perfect.
Yeah,
Get all my older phones out that are in the drawer that are from up
totally.
there.
Get out the old, like it was like the old filming thing with the flip cam. I've never had one. Oh, camcorder. That's one.
Oh, that's
Don't really. I don't know. Does anyone actually do that these days? Camcorder.
No, I don't think so.
Wait, when I was traveling, I did find some people that went back to like the old school cameras and they were like 10 years younger than me.
Yeah,
So I don't
the
know.
point and click cameras are a thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Maybe that's
But
like a little bit of a trend.
it's actually a trend. There's this guy that I like that it is a digital camera, but you can't see the photos being taken. It's a reusable digital um disposable camera. So you literally just looks like a disposable camera, but it's digital. It sends the photos to a server and you get them the next day.
Wow.
So you literally
The
can
next day, that's like so
like
long.
you literally have to like wind it and you don't get to see them until the next day because that's what film used to be. Like
Yeah, you didn't know.
I miss that technology of
Mm.
like just having to be patient for a little while.
And the anticipation.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I'm like, what are these going to look like? So yeah,
Mm.
I've been thinking about getting one of those cameras because I'm like, that'd be actually pretty cool to just
Christmas is coming, Wayde.
yes, it is. But I always buy myself stuff, so I'm terrible. I can't.
Why not? Treat
My
yourself.
friend is like, no, I'm gonna get it myself. I'm sorry. I want it now. That takes away from my patience, takes a whole away from what I said. I'm such a hypocrite.
Uh,
Oh.
all
All
right.
right.
So
Well, I think that's us today, but really lovely to get to know more about you, Wayde.
Likewise.
And thanks again. That was a good
yeah,
one. We
yeah,
should
that
have
was
you
really
back.
awesome. Yeah, I know that was, yeah, we should do a follow-up
Yeah.
actually. After you've
Love
set up your
to.
podcast, you've had your trade shows, your fairs. That would
I'm
be
very
really nice
excited
to,
for Melbourne Art Fair. I'm very
yeah,
excited.
circle back again.
Sydney one
Maybe
was
you might have relocated, you might be living in a new state. Who
who
knows
knows?
what's on the
Who knows?
card?
What does the world hold? Like, I do want to do some international ones next year, but we can see the what the budget holds for
Oh,
that.
yes. Don't love it.
Yeah, yeah,
Budget, smudge it. Just do it. Follow your heart.
that's a thing.
Oh
Uh,
This is
God!
business advice right here.
All right. Thank you, Wayde. And Roz, did you want to
Oh,
quickly drop something in for the end of the
oh,
year?
yes.
Yeah.
I actually nearly
You have
forgot.
something special before we wrap up.
Yeah, sorry, Wade. I'm just going to quickly mention to our listeners that I am running a vision setting, goal setting workshop, and that is coming up on the 8th of January. It's a Wednesday. I'm running 2 sessions. And if you would like to come along to that one, come and join me. It does have a ticket price, pretty cheap. $9 Australian to come in and attend, and that includes limited time access to the replay, and it is called Empowered 2025. So I will put the link into the show notes, but otherwise head to my Insta and follow the breadcrumbs.
Follow the links.
Follow the links.
Sounds amazing, Rose.
Yay, it's going to be fun.
Yeah. All right. Good chat today. Thanks
All
for
right.
joining us, Wayde.
See you all
Have a
soon.
lovely day.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Bye.